Good evening. My name is Bita Sadanandan, and today is the 26th of March, 2026, and the time is 6:30 p.m. And the area of body we would be maintaining health or by the Nirbeeja Yoga method is the region of the wrists. Now, morning I tried doing a live, the battery went down, and the whole recording just went off. So, what is available on the profile, exact profile, is some versions of it. Now, in the evening, after an interesting day, another interesting day, um, the wrists are better appreciated from the main frame to the peripheries, limbs, extremities. I find humans have six extremities. If we count our tail also to be one of the extremities, which is nicely tucked inside, but which maintains a center of gravity, with the head being one of the other extremities. So those who have four limbs nevertheless have a head and a tail for polarity of the light, you know, the light that is also having your blood be warm. So there are polarities, the head and the tail, plus or minus limbs. Um, Nevertheless, for maintaining the wrists, we are all on the same planet Earth, different human compositions. So this live would be more applicable to those who have wrists, who have arms, elbows, wrists. And um, in maintaining the wrists, nevertheless, there is the requirement to pay attention to the mainframe, which is the head, neck, shoulder, girdle, the rib cage, the spine, and the pelvis, which is a basic unit for being alive, for an alive human being. And then once we pay attention to the mainframe and the health of the mainframe, then paying attention to the extremities makes sense. For example, if somebody is going to get a heart attack, yeah, then if there is any, say, chest pain, then addressing the symptoms of that would make sense, and then taking care of the arm pain, so that the center of focus, the center of symptoms is addressed, and then the peripheries. Yeah, if you're going to do the other way around, it will take a little longer time. Yeah, so mainframe and then extremities. Now that's a logical logic. So I invite you to bring you to take a seat on a chair, Abraham Lincoln chair, that is, or a teacher's chair, where there's a back, straight back you can lean on, so your back is sufficiently supported. You can lean back. Your muscles then can relax thereby. Where the chair has an armrest, so you can place your arms, whereby the muscles of your arms do not have to hold your whole body up. So your extremities can be free enough. And you can sit in such a way that your feet can touch the ground and you can place your feet flat on the ground, wherein your knees can be at a 90-degree angle, and thereby your hips would be at a 90-degree angle with respect to your knees. So your upper body can be at a 90-degree angle, so to speak, with your hips and your with your knees, upper body, knees, to ankles, all at right angles. Yeah. And then in this bony framework supported structure, posture, it becomes easier to then have your bones be relaxed, your muscles be relaxed enough to then pay attention to warmth in the region of your chest. And I recommend the sides of your chest, because at the end of the day, I mean, kind of, the sun is setting 6:30 to 7 time of the day. Um, it becomes easier to maintain health from the sides of the chest, so that you may be holding it together at the seams, like a shirt has seams, yeah, stitches. So you may be you're holding your life together, front and back. So paying attention to the sides of your chest, and then in terms of warmth, and then in terms of softness, will help it be easier for you to pay attention to the gentle rhythmic movement of your chest as you're breathing. When you pay attention to your chest in terms of warmth and then softness, softness brings attention to layers of texture, layers of tissues. For example, you have your rib cage inside. So when you pay attention to softness, you're more likely to notice the different texture that forms your chest muscles, chest tissues. And then, in terms of warmth, will help you recognize also another facet of the texture of tissues, kind of tissues in your body. Because warmth will help to warm up the place all the way to different textures, different composition of tissues to become easily available, so to speak, easily awareable, yeah, sensible. And your nerves also find it easier to innervate the muscles, which are more warm. They kind of not in a tense fight, flight, freeze mode, in which case your nerves and your muscles may be at a little at odds with each other. Yeah. Warmth, paying attention to warmth and softness is more likely to have your nerves be a little cooperative with your muscles, a little more cooperative with your blood and different tissues. So your nerves can sense a little more because your nerves are like viruses, yeah, a little structure. And safety is how your nerves are not going to attack your own body, yeah. And then you would have a life or something like it, so to speak. Yeah, the electric circuitry may be a little off, and then the experience of living may not be very pleasant because you're busy ready to fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah, because your nervous system is not so very well insulated enough to be warm and comfortable and humane, kind of, so to speak. Now, bring attention to the sides of your chest and notice the outward movement of your chest, whether your chest may be moving front and back in the front of your chest. The muscles of the sides, left and right sides, may be moving out and in. And the muscles at the back may be moving back and in. So your chest is a kind of a space, a round cylindrical sort of space. Yeah, sort of. It's a little flat between the front and back because we are bilateral. Our lateral girth is greater than our front and back. That is if we are having such a girth. If you have put on a lot of weight in the front, then the shape would be different. But nevertheless, when you pay attention to the movement of your chest, which becomes easier to be noticed when you're paying attention to softness and warmth, you're likely to notice the subtle movements of your chest as you're breathing. Whatever may be your pace of breathing, respiration, it becomes easier for you to notice the movement of your chest without getting into fight, flight, freeze modes when you pay attention to warmth and softness. Because sometimes we hold a lot of memories, a lot of emotions, a lot of sometimes not so pleasant experiences. For example, fear, which you couldn't access, or you wouldn't even tell anybody else, but it's there inside, and your breath has been short. Without paying attention to warmth and softness, your chest becomes sometimes a scary place to pay attention to. Yeah, because your chest may seem cold, but that's you may not even be able to feel the cold because there's so much of emotions, which is other than anger, which may be fear. Fear would be quite a scary thing. But also your muscles may be a little tight, a little stiff from, well, your inability to pay attention to your chest because of frozen state, so to speak. But because of that, your ribs may be uncared for in a long time. Yeah. So your breath may be a little short. Because your ribs are not able to expand as well as they could because the muscles in between your ribs is a little tight, or a little frozen, or has not had warmth in some time, or when you sleep, you don't use a thick enough rug so that that warmth at least comforts you. So some challenges like that. Um, Sometimes in the cold, you can't even feel the cold because your chest has always been kind of cold. Yeah. So sometimes that could be the case, because the cold doesn't bother you. Yeah. There's this movie Frozen, which talks about, um, that's quite a dramatic way of representing it. But that may be one of the reasons why the cold doesn't bother you. Yeah. But all right. Having said that, if you can then, as you're paying attention to any sense of movement in your chest, one of the um, related movements is the movement of your abdomen, which may be different from the movement of your chest. And then there is further the movement of your pelvis, which may be different from the movement of your abdomen, which may be different from the movement of your chest. Because the movement at your pelvis may be more down and up, because there is excretory functions. So the tissues of your pelvis, the lower portion of your pelvis, would be more down and up, which is different from the abdomen, which may be more front and back. But the abdominal movement may be different from the chest movement, because the chest has lungs inside and ribs, which moves at a different pace than your abdomen, which does not have ribs. It has just a spine for a bony framework and lots of muscles around. Yeah. So the movement is different. All right. If you can pay attention to any sense of warmth, softness, and with the different kinds of movement that may be there in your mainframe, head, neck, your trunk region, all the way to your pelvis, you may notice different kinds of movement, but they're at least more sensible. You can sense them more when you pay attention to warmth and softness. You could burp. That could also be from your diaphragm relaxing more. When you pay attention to warmth and softness, chances are, as the other muscles are warming up, or you're paying attention to the warmth of them, your diaphragm also relaxes because your other muscles are relaxing more. And that could give rise to a burping sensation, because your food pipe, which moves through your diaphragm, is less constricted, not less strangulated. So there could be burping from your stomach being free enough to talk with your esophagus or your food pipe. Yeah, because there is no strangulation from the diaphragm. Yeah. And there's this abdominal aorta, which supplies blood to your heart. So if the diaphragm is tight, blood movement to your heart may be strangulated, and your heart may not be able to function as well as it needs to. Yeah. So it's an existential angst. If your heart is not able to function as well as need to, like food regularly going to your heart, blood is a food, not regularly going to your heart, then your heart and lungs are having a moment. Your ability to breathe goes a little off. You see how important this diaphragm is. You can't just simply make it stretch. It's not something that you can, reach under your skin and then stretch it out. No. No, 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 no. You have to pay attention to warmth and softness and notice the regular gentle movement there already is about different parts of your body. Now, if you're going to be fixated about how they need to move, then your body, your life will get so jacked. Oh, you just pay attention to how they are. From how much you may be fixing and changing yourself, your body may be having a moment in just being and not knowing how to function. Yeah. So just pay attention to warmth and softness and notice however the movements are, in whichever direction the movements are moving. And then there is over time recalibration, so that your body is coming to a healthy composition. For that, we would have to have more dedicated discussions, for which I'm making courses on learn.dynamicstillnesses.com, LEARN dot DYNAMICSTILLNESSES.com. That's where we can have more dedicated conversations. But a lot of people don't know there's at least to pay attention to warmth, softness, and this movement about your body. Now, when the main frame can be appreciated in terms of warmth and softness and movement, your heart is less likely to be tense, or your heart is more likely to be relaxed. If any symptoms of chest pain or cardiac arrest is coming up, they are more likely to, have another think, because things may have somehow changed a little bit. Yeah, so any radiation of pain along your arms, or if your shoulders tending to be a little tense, um, right shoulder maybe frozen shoulder, left shoulder tends to sometimes be maybe some symptoms of cardiac concerns, maybe. Yeah. And then I read through an article that says males and females express cardiac symptoms differently. Males may have like a chest pressure and then radiation of pain along the left arm. Females could have pain along both arms, yeah, starting from the wrists maybe or about the hands, and then there could be shortness of breath or choking sensation or pain along the throat. Um, and then after several of these symptoms shows up is where sometimes the chest then begin to start showing symptoms. So, um, and I read that article that says it seems like the pain is moving along a nerve. Yes, it's called the vagus nerve. There is the dorsal and ventral vagal nerve. If your women tend to do a lot of work and not rest enough, a vagus nerve supports in rest and digestion. And women may be running around helter skelter behind one thing or the other. And their vagus nerve may be less relaxed. And their digestion, their metabolism may be less optimal as it needs to be. So that gives rise to cardiovascular tension. So their arms, maybe left and right sides, a little more tense, and then over time, their neck and their head around the region, because their trapezius, their stress muscles, are so tense. And then after all of these symptoms in other parts of the body is when then if it gets even more severe, it is when it comes to the chest. Nevertheless, paying attention to warmth and softness about your chest also helps several features of the vagus nerve relax, because the vagus nerve is a 10th cranial nerve and innervates just about every part of the body. So when your main frame is more relaxed, the symptoms moving along the vagus nerve, any tension and stress, is less likely to get severe. And then slowly, as you're working with your extremities, symptoms abate, they reduce at least. And then as you continue to do, if you can have more one-to-ones, then I'll be able to guide with some specific use cases or what you may be dealing with, so that becomes possible. Now, having said that, the heart itself has a certain breath. The diaphragm has a breath of its own, liver has a breath of its own, heart has a breath of its own. And the coronary artery system about the heart requires its own care, because the valves that then moves the blood along the cardiac system, just like people have varicose veins, coronary arteries, they have their own little vein system kind. No, they have their own blood moving system. And some people tend to get blockages, varicose veins blockages, coronary arteries blockages. So clearing them regularly is how you don't have to go through bypass surgeries, because you will be taking care of, cleaning the kitchen sink. So the sink, the movement, the pipes are more clear. Yeah. So less causes of cardiac arrest or any kind of cardiac symptoms. Why am I mentioning all of this? Because I'm talking about the mainframe. All of these vital organs are in the mainframe. And then you have your limbs. We don't have a heart and liver and lungs on our arms and legs. Yeah. So I'm talking about the mainframe. And then we bring our attention to our extremities. Some people, they may experience tension about the wrists. And the wrists tend to also have carpal tunnel syndromes. That is, if you're using your mouse a lot on a computer, mouse a lot, or you're rubbing your wrist against a table or your working surface. If you're cooking, and then you're using your wrist a lot, pressing your wrist against a surface while you're cooking, you're cutting, or when you wash clothes a lot, in which case then you're using your wrist a lot. The blood supply along it's not necessarily carpal tunnel, but the wrist tends to get a little tight because of the traffic is a little jammed. Yeah, because our wrists are made up of several small bones. And if there's regular jamming and you haven't unjammed your wrist, then the traffic along there becomes a little difficult, congested. Yeah, just like your sinuses could get congested because the traffic needs to be decongested every now and then. Yeah, that can be spoken about any part of the body, but we are talking about the wrist. Now, paying attention to the health of wrists also includes, but is not limited to, paying attention to the side of the little finger and the side of the thumb. Now, these are in mirror images between left and right sides. In humans, we are pretty interesting creatures. Now, in paying attention to health of the wrist, it helps to pay attention to the little finger side of both sides simultaneously. Yeah, and the thumb finger side simultaneously. So we can do one at a time. Let's do the little finger. Now, the direction, where the little finger is on the left and right sides is on mirror images. Yeah. And when you follow along the line of the little finger, your wrist could notice a certain tension consistent with how easy or how often you have taken care of your little finger side of your wrist. If you have been regularly keeping your elbows on your armrest and you've never relaxed your elbow, then the nerves that go along the little finger side of your arms could be a little jammed. And there could be nervous tension, which is different from muscular tension. And that comes from your nerves not relaxing well enough. Okay? It's a different kind of a tension than muscle tension. And there's also skin tension, but contractures come from muscle tension. The nervous tension is indescribable. Like you could just have pain or a certain tension, but you can't really tell where the pain is coming from because it's coming from the nerves. Yeah. And the amount of pressure you could sometimes experience, sometimes not just in your arms, but also in your chest, because of the nervous connection along of how the arms formed in the whole evolutionary process. Because there is nerves, it's like a web. Yeah, nerves are like a web that moves from your arms to your chest to your central nervous system. Yeah, brachial plexus. There's a bundle of nerves that then is supplied from your arms to your chest to your central nervous system, which is your spine and your brain. Yeah, so you could have nervous tension or you could have muscle tension. Nevertheless, if you notice tension, try and adjust your posture. Relax back in your chair. Yeah. So you are reducing the tension in your muscles. Okay. Now you would say you cannot do this all the time. But when you sleep, your muscles are relaxing. When you sit, you don't have to have your muscles tense. You can choose sitting in a chair that allows for your muscles to relax. Even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, those muscles relaxing, those nerves relaxing, help your body function for a longer time without disease. Or if you have disease, those diseases are likely to reduce over time. But give yourself the chance of sitting in a chair that allows for your posture to relax, even if it's just 5-10 minutes. Many benefits. Over time, maybe you will find a chair to sit on to chop those vegetables. You don't have to stand all the time. Or you could just learn to relax your muscles so that when you're chopping vegetables, when you're doing your work, your muscles don't have to be tensed all the time. There's another way by which to be aware of your body such that tension gets mitigated. Instead of building up on tension, you're regularly maintaining no tension. That way, physiologically, you're doing better. You're maintaining health. And then there is regularly resting. For example, night you go to sleep. After you do some work, when you rest, choose a chair where you can relax. And that will help to further, well, actually relax. Otherwise, your baseline itself is in a tense mode. Your baseline is not, no tension. You're not, you're doing your work, but you're functioning from a tense physiology, anatomy, posture too. So when you relax, your body is not really getting the relaxation it could, because your baseline itself is above the normal. It's a little tensed normal. Yeah, high tension normal. So um, better chair. Check for your bedding. Is it hard, or is there any chance of softness of the cushions, or do you use a bed sheet that you duvet, for example, when you wrap around? Is it just a single thin sheet, or does it have slightly thickness, and is it warm enough that you can snuggle into, like your mother would snuggle you, yeah, when you're sleeping? So the cover gives you that comfort. Your tissues can experience that comfort, which is naturally there if you just choose a softer, a little thicker, warm, or at least a little woolly kind. But you can have this if you can have this. And so when you sleep, you wake up in the morning, you have work to do, but your body is more taken care of. Your health is more taken care of. Your physiology is better rested. And then you get to work. And when you're doing work, you don't have to be tensed all the time, because you had that those moments of rest is actually restful. So you don't have to be always tense. Yeah. All right. That's also some of the ways by which we maintain wellness. Now, your wrist, we spoke in terms of the little finger side. The thumb finger side, it's a different set of tensions, because it's also the Aadhaar card kind of, yeah. If people who can't sign, they use the thumb for a signature. So it is that important. It is quite so much related with your personality, and some also say the thumb is related with fire, and you need to maintain your metabolic fire at least. So the thumb side of your wrist holds a different kind of attention. Yeah. So if I'm not going to use too many words, and you're only going to pay attention to the thumb side of your wrist and the little finger side of your wrist, you're more likely to notice what the wrist is going through between the thumb side and the little finger side. Just appreciating the tension that your wrists are going through will already begin a certain cascade of events that helps to then relax your wrist, because awareness is key to then being for then your anatomy and physiology to function in a way that is more coordinative, yeah, between your conscious, subconscious, unconscious, superconscious processes. And in anatomy and physiology, better coordinate, and over time you're more likely to be healthier, yeah, because you're aware that there is tension. What you're not aware of, your system don't really know what to process, how to maintain health of, yeah, because the central nervous system, the central processor, needs to be aware of how is the whole system. You're only aware of some parts of your body, so your central processing system is taking care of those parts. When you're aware of your whole body, then your human brain processor is capable of handling that entire workload. Yeah. um, and then you just need to drink a little more water. Yeah. When you're resting, when you're sitting, take care of your posture, then your whole system is better able to manage the entire workload without getting tensed, burnout, or system overwhelm. None of that. Better capable, better container. Yeah. And your ability to be well would be in a better container. You can contain the wellness. And then what you do from being well enough, it's a good life. It's a beautiful, good life which is possible between your left and right sides. Less tension, long life. Here, tolerance, and people are saying all kinds of cranky stuff, but you will know that they don't know Nirbeeja Yoga. Yeah. And they are talking what they are talking because they don't know Nirbeeja Yoga. Yeah. You know, you maintain your health, and somehow they are just inspired to do well because human beings have mirror neurons. When you're doing well, they just tend to somehow want to do well. They don't know about mirror neurons. If they know about mirror neurons, uh, they still have to learn how to be well. There are things they don't know about. For example, they need to pay attention to warmth and softness and moisture and all of that stuff. You know about it. You can guide them to these lives. Yeah. Or you can just encourage them to have more water, a little more vegetables, more salad in your um, dining table, breakfast, lunch. Slowly, slowly, their ability to be well improves. Yeah. And try placing a pullover or a blanket or soft cover when they're sleeping, when they're sitting all cold, cold. They may never have felt warmth in their life. Some people are so busy taking care of what needs, to put food on the table or to make sure everybody is alive, that they don't know that, warmth is something that is other than just, food you eat. I don't know. Some people are just eating frozen meals. I don't know. They may never have felt warmth. They don't know they are missing it. So sometimes just place a blanket or a rug to place their feet on. They will experience an experience which they may not have had since childhood. Yeah, that's like a whole lot of people. Oh my God. Sometimes their bodies are so stiff because they don't know warmth is not had. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they're missing. So they don't miss what they don't know. You can place a warm set of clothing or warm water every now and then. They might think, why are you giving that? Yeah. But they will be getting better. It's like watering a garden with dry, yeah, or some fertilization not put into the garden for some time. And then when you over time you little sprinkle water, a little bit of fertilization, a little nourishment, they will sprout healthier behavior. Yeah. They just don't know how to be well. They don't know what they need to do to be well. And instead they might be walking around with a gun. Yeah. Don't know whom to fight. Yeah, because they don't know what they don't know. Alrighty. On that note, if your wrists are a little more less tense, we would be doing better work. Yeah, you're less likely to get a heart attack anytime soon. Your wrist being easy is also good. Yeah, because some of the causes for tension is when you notice how's your left versus right sides of your wrist. You're a little stocky, chalky, blocky. You all the time punching and all kinds of training, and you need to relax your bones. They need to be strong and supple. Soft, soft, strong and supple. That's how a body is made, not just made of to be bones like steel or muscles like steel. Steel also breaks. You don't want that. Yeah, and you're willing against breakage. That's not how the human body functions. Yeah. You may be getting nightmares, or you can't even sleep, or you don't even have nightmares because you're on the other side of um, being well. That's not wellness. That's kind of artificial intelligence. Life or something like it. Um, you still have life, you have things you do, but you don't really know life because you would also need to rest your muscles. So then you recognize soft and supple. Um, and your choice of activities also, what you do in life, what are you taking care of, what are you watching out for, or trying not to have. The more you're trying not to have something, you're having more of it. Yeah. You don't want to be afraid, you don't want to not have food. So sometimes what you're not trying to have, what you're trying to avoid, is what you continue to have. So it's not just a system of thinking, it's just something that it's taken some people a long time to study behavior and then see why do we continue to have what we have. For example, sick economy, so to speak. We've had warring tribes, and now United Nations formed, and then World Health Organization formed. They collated a list of diseases, and different people inquiring into why do we have diseases, why do we have economic challenges, why do we have problems, and then looking at root cause analysis, some of the things discovered is you continue to have what you have because you're trying to avoid something. And so you're so much focused on what you're avoiding that you continue to have it instead of having other than that. Okay? So what you try to avoid, you are making sure it's going to be there. Yeah. So it's not reverse psychology. It is just something that what you pay attention to, you have more of. Yeah. And you're trying to have what is that you're doing things for? What's the goals you're working towards? Um, that may not be as wholesome as they need to be. They may be like sharp edges, but not really rounding into wellness. You may be continuing to have certain things, you don't even want to talk about it. The groups may be discussing, working in terms of them, but you don't have a way out of that, or a way to have other than that, or to live like everybody else. And you think in this lifetime it's not possible. Well, that's because you continue to think in this way. And your body, for example, is a human body made of blood, warm blood. That's the design of a human body. Skin is not with scales or with talons, or you may wear an armory, yeah, with iron or stuff to then protect your body. But your body is basically designed without scales or talons or fangs and all of these sharp stuff. So you may be fighting against what you already have. And so and you think in this lifetime it's not possible. Well, you have a body that's human. You have a body that's human, and you're fighting against it by wearing armory. So the you want to do well, but don't know what you already have to be well. And then you say, this is how life has turned out to be, this is the communities you're working with. But you are alive, and so is your community. And they are also humans. They haven't listened to this live, but you are human. And Earth is an example of what happens when you recognize you're alive. And Earth is part of the solar system, which is a community of planets. And Earth is doing what other planets are not doing. They haven't yet figured it out. But because of what Earth is doing, other planets have a benefit, which scientists are still in different stages of clearly understanding what is actually happening. Yeah. So information in different stages of becoming better, but they've also discovered proteins in outer space, which was not discoverable earlier. So Earth is doing something, by which there is also proteins discovered. Signs of life, or early signs of life, or something happening in the communities from being aware of having a body that's human, being alive, having composition of an alive um, planet Earth. Yeah, communities get better when you are paying attention to what you already have. Yeah. All right. Now on that, it's like fire. When there is fire, somehow there is warmth somehow there. Even if you're just going to look at the fire and it's all cold, you still feel warm in some way. And the sun is shining and the earth is having lifetime. Yeah. Lifetime. So things happen. Yeah. Yeah. There is, where there is warmth, there is life shows up. One way or the other. It's just things are happening. It just may not be so visible, but it's like sun and earth, and we have an example there. Yeah. What an example. Yeah. All right. On that note, we will pause for a while. Yeah. And continue to pay attention to warmth and softness and any kind of movements that your body is already making, because our human body is designed to move. And if you have an alive human body, your body is moving. It's just that you may not be aware of what movements there are. So pay attention to warmth and softness. You are likely to notice the different textures of your different layers of tissues that your body's made of, and they're all moving. Yeah. And then there is to recalibrate and bring to optimum. Yeah. So there is a healthy dance between your different body composition. So your body is always dancing in that sense, and also singing, because every tissue have their own frequency, energy, vibration, music. But the thing is, are they making healthy sounds, or are they making not healthy sounds? Are they moving healthy movements or not healthy movements? Coordinated, discoordinated, yeah. Dance troupe. When they're all coordinated, it's nice to look at. When it's a little discoordinated, it's different. But there is movement. You're alive, there is movement. Dance is happening, singing is happening. Yeah. So on that note, I pause for now. See you tomorrow, 6:30 to 7, on another topic. And the topic is put up on my website, www.dynamicstillnesses.com, on the page named Dailies, on which is the calendar for this month. And the date for tomorrow has a topic. And that's the topic we will be covering tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.